Good evening, welcome to your Wednesday workout. Today's perfect posture part 2. So if you joined me on Monday, I was talking about posture. I showed you some specific postural types. I'm going to just very quickly go over that again, and then I'm going to do some very basic exercises for a couple of the postural types that will help you if you have them. So, I'm going to be moving the camera about a little bit so that you can see different bits. So I'm just going to start standing. So very briefly, we talked about, good evening, very briefly, we talked about the very common one, kyphosis. So that was the one where instead of your earlobes being lined up with your shoulders and your hands down the sides of your trousers, your shoulders are forwards, your head is forward, your chin's forward. And this is really common, very round-shouldered, because a lot of people are always holding devices, always hunched over desks, hunched over driving. Lots and lots of people have this posture, so really common. So if you look in the mirror and you notice that your shoulders are forwards, your arms are a little bit forwards, then you have got a kyphotic posture, and I can help you. And as I mentioned, I've got a little bit of this. Naturally, my arms would hang like this, but I know that I need to roll them back, so I will make a big effort to keep them in their neutral positions. So that's your kyphosis. We'll be doing quite a lot of exercises about that, and also on Friday I'm going to be doing seated work to help kyphosis, because a lot of older people who might want to do the seated stuff will be suffering from this. The other one that I've got is lordosis. So instead of your pelvis being nice and neutral, remember your pelvis shouldn't be tilted forward, shouldn't be tilted back, should be in the middle. Instead of that, if you've got lordotic posture, your pelvis is tilted forward, so you've got a big arch in your back. Might not be huge, might just be a little bit, so you can feel that everything's not level, it's just tilted forward. You might look like you've got a big bum, not in my case, unfortunately, I haven't got a big bum, but I've still got a little bit of an arch in my back here. So that's your lordotic posture. Again, quite common to have both of them. So we'll be doing a few things to help that. And one of the other ones which I mentioned was flat back. I'll just do a few things that will help flat back. And that's where you've got stiffness and tightness in one part of your back, one section of your back, could be any part. So that if you were doing a roll down, instead of a roll down like this, where you're curling down one vertebra at a time, if you had a flat back, that would be very difficult, and your back would be going down quite stiffly like that. So a couple of the exercises will help with that. I'm going to start sitting on a ball today. So if you haven't got a ball, don't worry. It's running away from me. It's easy for me to do. So you could do these ones sitting down in a chair. You can do them standing up. You can do them on the floor, whatever works for you. So these are very basic exercises that I do all the time. I do them a lot. So they're not new things, but if you've got these certain types of posture, they will really help you. So the first one is my favourite, which is the dumb waiter. So I'm sitting up, of course, nice and tall, all the usual things, sitting up nice and tall. But the dumb waiter, so your elbows are tucked into your waist. So you're going to be taking your arms out and round. You're thinking about your shoulders rotating around. So of course, with kyphosis, what do you need to do? You need to open up the chest. Your chest is going to be squashed, it's going to be tight. You need to open up the chest and stretch those muscles. That's one of the key things you need to do. You also need to strengthen the muscles at the back, muscles of your back, because they have been stretched when you're with your posture like this. So you need to be opening up the chest and working the muscles at the back. So that's what you're doing with all of these exercises. I'm keeping the elbows tucked into the waist. This is such a simple exercise that everybody could do every day. If you just did 5 every day, that would help if you have a kyphotic posture. So you're thinking about your shoulder rotating round, and you're thinking about your shoulder blades squeezing together behind you. That's one of the key things that you need to think about if you're trying to help your kyphosis. Think about your shoulder blades squeezing together. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. So that's the nice, straightforward, dumb waiter that everybody can do. Standing, sitting, on the floor, in bed, whatever. Really great one to do. Okay, so similar movement, making it a little bit bigger. I'm going to take the arms up, then out to the side, back to the middle and down. So I'm just making it a little bit, the lever a little bit longer. So again, as you take your arms back, you're squeezing the shoulder blades together. Obviously, as always, if anything hurts, if you've got issues or injuries of any particular sort and it hurts, then please stop, don't do it. So if you've got shoulder injuries and this hurts, then you would be better off sticking just to the dumb weight. So of course you're sitting up nice and tall, of course you're remembering to squeeze your tummy in, but basically the focus today at the moment is on your shoulders, squeezing your shoulder blades together. You can feel that your chest is opening up. Because of course if you do have this posture and you don't try and address it, what happens as you get older is it gets worse, you're crunching down, your internal organs will be squashed, you're going to have problems breathing, you're going to have a lot of pain in your back, in your shoulders, you're going to be open to having shoulder injuries really, really easily. So it's really, really a good idea to try and address it as soon as you can and just do some very, very simple exercises to stretch those muscles at the front and strengthen the muscles at the back. That's all you'll do. It's very, very simple. That's all you're doing. Okay, so this next one is called the VW. So your arms are going to be in a V shape, and then your elbows are coming down, so you're making a W shape. Arms in a V shape, elbows coming down in W shape. So again, you're thinking about your shoulders and your shoulder blades sliding down and squeezing together. You're working those muscles at the back, squeezing them together. Some of these exercises you could of course make harder by using a band. I didn't want to add a band in today because I just wanted to do the very, very basic ones, but we can, at another point I'll do some exercises with bands so you can see, you can add them into lots of different things just to make it harder of course. So shoulders are of course staying down away from your ears, you're not letting them hunch up. Your V shape, and then as you make your W shape, your shoulder blades are squeezing together, sliding down the back of your ribs, and you're opening up your chest. Okay, so that's nice and straightforward. We're going to do that one on the floor as well in a minute. And the other very basic one is just moving your shoulders. So we're going to have the arms forward, you're going to protract your shoulders, so your shoulders are coming forward, and then you're going to draw them back so they're retracting. I'll do it from the side so you can see better. So your shoulders are then coming forward. This is what our shoulders are naturally doing. So the work is to draw them back. You're drawing your shoulders back, retracting. This called scapular retraction, scap retract, and you're just losing my voice, losing my words. So your shoulders coming forward, and then you're drawing your shoulders back. It's not an easy one. It's quite a tricky one to do. Think about your shoulders being down away from your ears. Don't let them hunch up towards your ears. Of course, that's not a great thing. Your neck's nice and long. So you should start to feel, if you've done all of these that I've just done, even though they're very, very basic, you should start to feel that your shoulders are working quite hard. I can really feel my shoulders working. So that is fantastic. Oh. Squeezing the shoulder blades together as you retract your scapula. Lovely. So that is some very, very basic ones for kyphosis. Now, while I've got more to do on the floor for kyphosis, while I'm on the ball, I'm just going to change to lordosis. So, of course, lordosis, you've got your arch in your back, and what we need to do that is to try to address that arch by trying to get the pelvis into the correct position. So if you happen to have a ball, this is great. If you haven't got a ball, you can do this sitting on a chair, and I'll do it on Friday. Obviously, a chair won't move underneath you, but your bottom will move a little bit, so you can still do it. It's just not quite as easy as on a ball, but just to show you, on a ball it's really quite nice. So we're tucking under, we're tucking the tailbone under. Of course you're squeezing your tummy in, but you're trying to get that lengthening of the bottom of your spine and tucking under. And it might feel very stiff, and it might feel quite sore when you do that, because of course your spine is used to being in this position within a big arch. So to do it the other way could be quite hard work. So it's a really, really good one to do. So you can make it as big or small as you want to. So I'll do it on Friday on a chair, so you can see that it's still possible to do it on the chair. So that's your little pelvic tilt. You can make it bigger as well by going down. If you want a ball, you can go down further. Oh, and I can already feel it working my back quite hard. So this is a pelvic tilt, which we'll do more of on the floor in a minute. So another one, I'm going to go down onto the floor, but just before I do, I'm just going to do some roll downs. So roll downs, that help if you have lordosis, which you've lost my head. If you had lordosis, it would help, and also if you have a flat back. So you're going to try to curl your spine down one vertebra at a time. So you don't have to go all the way down to the bottom. I'm just going quite low so that you can see my head. You don't have to go all the way down to the bottom, you can just do little ones. But the idea is to try to articulate your spine one vertebra at a time. And if you've got a flat back and you're very stiff in one particular part of your spine, that will be quite tricky, and it will feel like your spine's going down like that, straight like an ironing board. So the idea is to try to articulate it one vertebra at a time, like a string of pearls, like a bicycle chain, one bit at a time. Also good for lordosis because you're tilting your pelvis and you're moving that arch the opposite way you need to do. So that's your basic roll downs, and we sometimes do them with a flat back like that. And again, with lordosis, that bit, that tilting under is a good one. You could just do a little pelvic tilts here. You could do a flat back and then tuck under into a pelvic tilt. That's quite nice for lordosis. Okay, so I'm going to go down onto the floor, and let's just move the camera so you can see me. There we go. So we're back to kyphosis, so we're back to this one with the shoulders hunched. So we're working our shoulders, we're working the back, and we are opening up the chest. Excuse me, my face. Okay, so we did the VW sitting. We're going to do the VW lying down. Exactly the same thing. Arms are in a V shape, and elbows coming down into a W shape. V shape, W shape. Now I really like doing it in this position. You do need to try and think about squeezing your tummy in. You need to think about drawing your shoulders down and your shoulder blades going down the back of your ribs. So of course you would hopefully do it with your head like this rather than on the side, so that's not great. You could do it with a towel underneath your head if that's comfortable. So whatever works for you, but you're thinking about exactly the same things you were thinking about when you were sitting, that your shoulders and your shoulder blades are drawing down to strengthen those muscles of your back, your trapezius muscles. So that's lovely, that's your VW. Okay, so there's some more letters to do here. So there's an exercise that I like to call the aeroplane that I do in my classes. I'm going to do a few little versions of that. So I'm going to have, to start with, I'm going to have the arms down. So you're going to have your arms in an A shape. Also, I'm relaxing the bottom half of my body. I'm not tensing anything up at the bottom. Set the tummy, I'm tightening up the tummy. So you're going to be lifting up your arms in an A shape. So thinking about your arms going out to a diagonal in an A shape. So again, what you're thinking about, your shoulders. You're thinking about your shoulders rolling back and your shoulder blades squeezing together. And hopefully you're doing it with your head like this, so that your neck is in alignment. So you don't want your neck to be twisted. So this is your A shape. Quite easy. A shape. Shoulders down away from your ears. That's your A shape. So then, the one that I like, the aeroplane position, is your arms are out. So this is your T shape. So think about the shoulders being down away from the ears, of course, and then you're just lifting up the hands to the side. So as you lift up, your shoulder blades are squeezing together. You could do this one arm at a time, so you can just lift one arm up and slide the shoulder blade into that one, and then slide the other one, or both together. So your arms are making a nice T shape. Shoulder blades are squeezing together, tummy's tight. Not forgetting to breathe, of course, I didn't mention that, but you're breathing. And your tummy is tight, so you're really working your shoulders. You should feel it working your shoulders quite a lot by now, I would think. Now you can also do a Y shape. So, or actually it's a bit more like, it's like the V, it's like the VW. So a Y shape or a V shape. And again, you're just lifting and lowering the arms, and you're thinking about the shoulders. I don't like this one as much, I prefer this one. But if that feels okay to you, lifting and lowering the arms, thinking about the shoulder blades sliding down and squeezing together, then that one is quite hard work. I'm going to add one more in the T shape, the aeroplane, and that is if you have your thumbs facing up, so your palms are facing forward, then lift and lower. I think that one's harder.
So you're lifting both arms up, thumbs are going up towards the ceiling, and to make it harder, lift the pulses. Don't forget to breathe. So you're really working your shoulders, you're really feeling your shoulder blades squeezing together. Have a little rest, and then again, breathing. Oh, that's quite hard work. So, that is all. I've got one more. One more for your kyphotic posture. So this is very, very similar. So we did the A shape. So I'm just going to do the same thing, but really focus on the shoulders. So not really on what the arms are doing, but the shoulders are rolling back. So it's just squeezing the shoulder blades together. That's all you're doing. And then you're going to add in the head if you want to. So your tummy is squeezed in nice and tight. You're going to breathe in as you breathe out. Shoulders rolling back, shoulder blades sliding down, lifting up the head. Keep the chin tucked in. If anything hurts your back, then don't do it. If it hurts your lower back, then don't do it. If it feels a stretch in the upper spine, that's okay. That's what you're working. But if you feel it in your lower back and it's not comfortable, then please don't do it. You can just stick to doing it with the shoulders, not the head. If you have the head in, you need to tighten up the tummy. You're really, really going to be opening up the chest and working those shoulders. And you're really working on addressing that issue with your shoulders being all rounded in your kyphotic posture. So that is a bit of a back extension. Okay, so next I'm going to go on to my back. So we're going to be back to a lordosis, and of course we've got your arch. So if you have a bit of a lordotic posture like me, a natural position for you to lie in would be that you've got quite a bit of an arch underneath your back. And we've talked about the nice neutral spine position quite a lot, and that your pelvis should be nice and flat and neutral. But if you've got a big arch in your back, even if your pelvis is flat and you're and that should be your neutral spine, you might still feel like that arch is too much. So in that position, try to keep the pelvis still, and then just try to relax the ribs down a little bit, and that will lower that arch a little bit, and it won't be quite so pronounced. But obviously everybody's spines are different. Some people, if you've got a flat back, you might feel that your back's right flat down on the floor, and it's quite difficult to get that neutral spine position. But you have to play with it and see what feels good to you. So I'm going to do a pelvic tilt. So we did the pelvic tilt sitting on the ball, the same that you can do sitting in a chair. We're going to do the pelvic tilt just lying down. So I'll just move my arms so you can see. So all you're doing is tilting your tailbone up and just pushing your lower back, pushing the small of your back down into the floor. You're squeezing the tummy in. You can do this very, very slowly, very smoothly. So you're peeling your tailbone up, your pelvis will be tilting, and the small of your back is pushing down into the floor. So when we're doing normal exercises in Pilates, we don't want the back to be pushing down into the floor. We want to maintain a little bit of a curve there. But for the pelvic tilt, that is what you are focusing on, and for lordosis, that is what you need to be focusing on, really addressing that big arch and trying to correct it and trying to make the pelvis feel comfortable in a more neutral position. So of course, what comes after the pelvic tilt is a shoulder bridge. So you just can make these pelvic tilts a little bit bigger, very, very gradually. You can peel up a little bit more of your spine. And it's exactly the same feeling as when you were doing your roll downs. You're peeling your spine up over the floor, one vertebra at a time. It's as if they are a string of pearls, or they are a bicycle chain, and you're pulling them up link by link, pearl by pearl, one bit at a time. Feet can be quite close into your bottom. You want to do it as slowly as you can. Really try and feel each vertebra lifting up one by one, and each vertebra curling back down one by one. So this also is really good for flat back, but if you have got a flat back, this will be difficult, and there'll be one lump of your spine which you will feel is not going down link by link at all, is going down in a big chunk. So that's the bit that you need to really, really work on, and the only way to do it is just to keep practicing and to try and do it nice and slowly, and really try and get some movement. And it does work, it really will improve. I've seen people whose backs were very, very stiff, and they have, by doing Pilates once a week or twice a week, they have really, really improved the mobility in their spine. So you can go all the way up to the top. The highest you want to go is that you're in a straight line from your knees down to your chest. Don't go too high up because of course we don't want to over arch the back. We're trying to go the opposite way to that. So don't take it too high. Of course your tummy's squeezed in nice and tight, and of course you're lifting up your pelvic floor, and of course you're breathing. All these things you know already. Nice and smooth. You're also thinking about your spine coming up in a nice symmetrical way so that not one side isn't coming up quicker than the other. It should be nice and smooth and symmetrical, if at all possible. So that is your lovely shoulder bridge. I haven't added any arms or anything complicated into it. I'm just doing a very, very basic shoulder bridge. This is one of the best exercises to do if you've got a dodgy back. It really, really can help with all sorts of things. So, one of the other things you need to do with lordosis is to focus on your core, to strengthen your core muscle, because if you've got that pelvic tilting forwards, sometimes your abdominal muscles are really too stretched and not strong enough. So of course all of the exercises that we do in Pilates are focusing on your core. It all comes from your core in the first place. So there's a huge amount of exercises that I could show you to do to strengthen your core, but just for today I'll just do my favourite, which is the single leg stretch. So if you can be in your nice neutral position, if your back is too arched, then you can flatten it down a little bit. If you are, I'll do the easy one. The easy one is a single leg slide, sliding one foot away and then sliding the other foot away. That's the easy option, keeping the pelvis nice and still and tightening up the tummy. That's the very, very easy option. Otherwise, you can do a double knee fold and you're lengthening away one leg and then the other. So there's loads and loads of exercises that work the core. This just happens to be my favourite one. So you're lifting up the pelvic floor, you're tightening up your tummy, you're breathing in. As you breathe out, you're lengthening away one leg, and you can hold on to the other arm. And you can make it harder by adding in various arm movements, but for now I'm just doing the basic one. If you want to make it easier, leg can go higher up towards the ceiling, that's not as hard. Not going to challenge your core muscles as much. Harder, legs going down towards the floor. So that's your single leg stretch, very, very basic core work. So, okay, what else am I going to do? So I'm going to do, just going to do 2 stretches to finish off with. I'm going to do a cat stretch to finish off with, and that would be really, really helpful for flat back and also for lordosis, because you are going to arch your back in the opposite way to what you are used to doing. So what you can do is, I think it's called cat to camel or cat to cow. So that if you struggle to do that arched cat stretch position, if you've got a stiff back or you're very lordotic and you struggle to that, then you can do the opposite way. So drop down a little bit. Normally in Pilates I wouldn't encourage you to be dropping your lower back down, but just for this one exercise you can do it so that you really, really then notice the difference when you lift it up. So you can relax it down. You're still tightening up your tummy, so you're not letting it hang down completely. Still tightening up the tummy. But then you're going to tuck your bottom under, tilt the pelvis. Again, it's a pelvic tilt. Bottom's tucked under, as if you've got a tail. If you had a tail hanging down, you're tucking it under and bringing it through your legs. And also your head's tucking down. So you don't have to do the opposite way if that's not comfortable for you. But if you are a bit lordotic, it probably is quite comfortable for you. You can just focus on this one, the cat stretch. So again, this is a really, really lovely stretch that everybody could do. A couple of times just to really help to get some mobility, and again it does get better if you've got a very stiff back, but you keep practicing this, it does get easier. So this is just a very basic cat stretch. I'm not doing any extra bits, just doing a very, very basic one. So that's that, and then the last thing I'm going to do today is chest opener. Now this is everybody's favourite exercise. Oh, I forgot to bring a pillow. You would ideally do this with a block or a pillow here. I forgot to bring mine out. So this one is, going back to kyphosis again, so this one is to open up your chest and feel your shoulder blades squeezing together. So imagine I've got a pillow underneath my head. I'm actually going to use my arm, but normally your arm would be out here. Knees are up nice and high in front of you. Your hips are stacked in a nice straight line. You're going to move your arm, you're going to take your head round, your ribs round, but your hips are staying still, they're not rolling. So you're breathing in as you breathe out, opening up, head can follow round. It's not very comfortable without a pillow. And, ooh, really not very comfortable. Breathing in there, breathing out as you come back. So of course, if you haven't got a lot of mobility there, if your chest is very stiff and tight, because you're quite kyphotic, then you're going to struggle to go all the way. So no matter how far you go, that's okay. Take a deep breath there and then come back. And if you practice it, if you do some of these every day, you can do these in bed. You'll have a pillow then, which will be nicer than that wobbling. If you do them in bed, I think when you wake up, it's a really, really lovely stretch to help you wake up, just open up the chest. It can be helpful if you've got asthma or any breathing issues as well, because it opens up the lungs, helps to get some breath in. And of course, the more you do it, the easier it will become, and then you'll get more mobility. You'll loosen up your chest, you'll stretch your chest, and you'll be able to go all the way over. So, if you can go all the way over and touch the floor, fantastic. If you can't, don't worry. If you just keep practicing, you will get more flexibility. So I'll just do it on the other side quickly, and then we're done. So again, I've got a pillow here, not just my hand. Knees are up nice and high. Opening up. Keep the hips still. So you're really getting a lovely, lovely stretch across the front of the chest, across the arm. Really stretching those muscles that need to be stretched to prevent you from being all hunched over. So I always suggest that this exercise is perfect for absolutely everybody, and I'd encourage everybody to do it in bed. It's my favourite exercise. It's everybody's favourite exercise, I think, in my classes. So we absolutely love it. Don't forget, it doesn't matter how far you can go, even if you can only go up this far, that's fine. Keep practicing, and eventually you will get further. That is the key. If you keep trying, it will loosen up. So that was just a few very, very basic exercises and stretches to help you with your posture. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, please give me a shout. And I will be back on Friday. I'll do a very, very basic, simple exercises sitting down. I might do some against the wall as well, standing up against the wall. There's similar things that we can do for kyphosis up against the wall, so I'll probably do that, but mostly sitting in the chair. So I will see you then, or if not, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely evening.